let's talk about it. All right, let's get right into it. Okay. Just like my last video, I was talking about this book that I read from Leah Wright-Rigeur. This book was actually very interesting book. And there's a few things that actually, took from this book. There's a lot of very interesting topic that this book actually discussed when it comes to the black vote and everything that was going on with black people from back in the day. The book really began from the 1930s until actually the 1980s when it comes to the black vote, which is very interesting to me. But what I found really interesting was in the 1960s there was this group called the National Negro Republican Assembly, the NNRCA. They were very influential in the 1964 presidential election. Now there was this guy by the name of Barry Goldwater, which was interesting to me, right? But right, Lyndon B. Johnson, when as we all know that he signed the 1964 Civil Rights Act into law. But at that time, Barry Goldwater didn't like um, that he did. He was basically against it. And I do think the man from Arizona, whatever, but I do think the reason why he was against it, because a lot of many people from the South, white, I'm saying people from the South at the time was against the Civil Rights Act, because it still wanted to be segregated and stuff like that, right? But doing a deeper dive, right? After I finished reading the book, when I actually Googled, Barry Goldwater's name, all the businesses that he had back in those days, he really integrated a lot of black people within his company, within his many companies. So I just don't get it back then, right? He he had a lot of black people that worked for him in his company integrated, but yet when he was running for, because he was saying that before he ran for president, he was still senator though, but when he was running for president, you know what I mean, he campaigned that he was basically against the Civil Rights Act, which to me, I guess it's politics, I guess, and at that time, a lot of black people were like, "Nope, I'm not having it. We're not having it. Okay, you're against this. Okay, so we're not gonna vote for you. All right." So 94% of black Republicans back then, 94% end up, according to this book, end up voting for Lyndon B. Johnson. Now Lyndon B. Johnson, as we all know, was a Democratic president. He became president after John F. Kennedy got assassinated, as we all know. All right, and after he became president, then he ran. He became president in 1963 when John F. Kennedy got assassinated. And when the next presidential when election came up, he ran. He ran, and for the 1964 for presidential race, he won it, right? Because I think a lot of big thing too. One of the reason why I think he probably won because of the Civil Rights Act that he signed into law, right? So I thought that was very interesting to me, right? Now let me see if y'all did this sound very familiar today. Somebody that said this. So Barry Goldwater said, right, that he had done more for black people in Arizona than anyone else. Barry Goldwater said that back in the 1960s, right? So that was very interesting what the book was actually discussing. Very, very, very interesting to me. Okay, so on to another topic, right? Of this book. Another thing is back then too, some Republican politicians were like, "We don't need the black vote." So some of the politicians back then as well talk about that they really didn't need a black vote because as Republicans, because they know, of course, there's more white people in this country, and man, they're gonna probably when it comes to the Republican Party, that a lot more white people will vote for them. So I thought that was kind of interesting. People saying this. So all these that's being said. Now I got it written down, and all stuff is public records, right? This lady that wrote this book, Miss Leah, right? At the back of her book, she has all the references to where she got her information from. So everything that she has written is public record. Because as we all know, when politicians say things, right, especially on a live mic or in interviews or anything, it's all public records, right? So I thought that was interesting. Okay, so we all know Ronald Reagan, the 40th president of the United States. But when he was governor, back in the 60s, he was speaking at a conference. There was a lot of black people there, right? And this was in the 60s. And when I was reading about it, that was very interesting to me that a lot of black people told him to his face back then that he was racist, that he was a racist man, right? And he got so mad that he stormed out the building and went to wherever he went to. And somebody had to convince him to come back to talk. 5 hours later, whatever. But somebody had to convince this man to come back to talk because he was upset. Said, I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. But at the same time, though, if you was alive and you was black back in the 80s, y'all know the laws that was made put a lot of black people down. Let's say it like that. All right, what I mean, the crack law and all the crazy stuff, which I'm not gonna really get into. Right, but one thing I didn't know though, reading in this book, that he talked about. I'm sorry. He actually campaigned in a lot of black neighborhoods back in 1980 when he was running against Jimmy Carter for president. Right. I thought that was very interesting because even like in today's time, man, I see like a lot of politicians, right? I very rarely, even on TV or whatever. I don't know if they do, because I don't know every single politician, but for the presidency, right? I don't really see too many of them going into black neighborhoods to really campaign, like I think they should, especially the Democratic Party, right? You know what I mean? I don't see really them going to like actually in the ghetto, in the hood, to really campaign, because those are the votes that you really need if you want to win. Because I always say, the Democratic Party could never win without the black people vote. They can't win point blank. They could never win without the black vote. I always believe that, right? And they need the black vote. So, and sometimes I do believe, this is my own personal opinion. Sometimes I do believe that a lot of them take our vote for granted, you know, because when it's time for election, you see them on TV or go on these black platforms, but a lot of times they don't really want to get in office. It's like they forget about us. That's how I feel sometimes. Tell me if I'm wrong, but this is how I feel. Sometimes they just, okay, I'm going to the black platform because I need your vote. But once they get in office, they'll be like, you know what though, I'm good. All right, until it's time for the next election. Instead of be consistent with it and to go on these black platforms. It's okay to go on the other platforms as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But be consistent with it and show us that you care, politicians. That's all I'm saying. Show us that you care. All right? And if you are doing things to try to make everybody's lives better, even especially black lives, right? Let it be known so we can know that you're trying. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let it be known. All right? Make sure your messages are good. Make sure your message good, so we as voters will know what you're trying to do. Okay, but I thought that was interesting though that Ronald Reagan actually campaigned in the black neighborhood because he wanted the black vote, and they wanted the Republican black votes, right? Republican black vote. I thought that was very interesting to me. Wow, right? Okay, okay. Now, Justice Clarence Thomas, right? Let's talk about this for a second. Okay, you know what? A year ago, a year ago or so, maybe 2 years ago, I think maybe last year, or maybe a year before, I don't know, can't remember. But when he kicked back the affirmative action, right? I think it was probably last year, right? He kicked it back. He said, "Let the states handle this. The states is going to handle this stuff, right?" Knowing daggone well, a lot of the states, especially some of these states, like, okay, we're going to get rid of affirmative action and stuff like that, right? But this man, he was the very first person in his generation. I say first person, but the first, his generation was the first to really benefit from affirmative action. So I just don't understand why would he, be a part of kicking it back. to let it go to the states, right? You know what I mean? Cause I just with the affirmative action, I think certain things I think they should just let it be, right? So I just find all the stuff kind of interesting and all good stuff though, you know. Yeah, right. Now with all that being said, okay, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, but with all that being said, right, despite of everything that's going on in the country today, I'm asking each and every one of you to go out and vote. Okay, this is an election year. Okay, I'm going to do my part. I'm going to vote. All right. You know, I'm not from this country. I was born in Jamaica, as y'all know. I was born. All my friends that know me, y'all know I'm a Jamaican. Okay, and I got my citizenship in 2008 when I was in Iraq. And when I got my citizenship, actually got my citizenship in Saddam Hussein's palace. That was a beautiful at Camp Liberty, Iraq. All y'all, all my military vets, y'all know Camp Liberty, right? And that palace to me was what a beautiful palace it was, right? I even got to sit in Saddam Hussein's chair. Crazy, crazy, right? But I got my citizenship in 2008, and to me, that was the best, that was one of the best things that happened to me too, because when we came back, you know what I mean, it was of course an election year, and I voted, right? And I felt good when I casted my first vote. And as a foreigner, you know what I mean, I live in this country, I grew up in this country, I've been in this country since I was 10 years old. And this country afforded me to live a pretty good life. I can't complain about and that's going on. Anything I complain about is because of me or whatever. Most of the time, because of me. You know what I mean? So I can't really complain because it's afforded me to actually live a pretty good life, and it's a blessing for me. So that's all right. I'm going to vote. You know what I mean? I'm going to vote, and I challenge each and every one of you out there to go and vote and just do your part. Okay? Whoever you vote for, it doesn't matter. Let's go there and do your part. People back in the day fought for us to go out there and vote, okay? And please don't waste that vote, because when you don't vote, you actually vote. Because the people that's not going to have your interests, right, is going to be in office. You know what I mean? That's going to go against what you believe in. And you don't want that, okay? You know what I mean? You don't really want that. So let's go there and vote, okay? That's all, man. To me, it's not going to really take hurt nobody just to register to vote. It doesn't cost you no money to register to vote. So let's do your part, okay? I'm going to do my part. All right? And I thank you so much. And just let me know what you think about what I said about this video. I'm just kind of long right now, but I want you to have a good day. Thank you so much. Bye bye.